No.
She's unbelievable. Well, Hari, remember, you know, that voice that talks about your previous voice, both of them are both.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
No.
Be happy to.
You hear that one voice and then the other guy's voice? That in your head, neither of them are yours.
That was good timing.
No, I'm serious though. It's a good thing to use because a lot of people do a lot of work, but they get caught in that like first self chakra. Yeah.
Yeah.
They think they know a lot about that voice or that thing that there's a voice about now. So that which was the only like station at one time, now you have another station that overrides that station. Yeah. Yeah. So you wanted to get relief from the first station, but you got stuck in the realm of a second station, seemingly. Yeah. So now you may not take Hari seriously, but you take seriously what Hari is saying about Hari.
Right. Yep. I think that's true.
And obviously there's no process that can get before that, can it? So in other words, the infection hides under the skin, and then you put a lot of spiritual balm, BALM, on the skin. But you know how some of those things are, they say they're a moisturizer, but they don't go into the skin really. They're only on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
They don't sink in. Most shit that we apply doesn't sink into this. You got to see it from before it, not after it. Yeah. Yeah. And that means if that which is saying it's the before, which it isn't, if you keep trying to see the after from that imaginary before, it's just more after.
It certainly is.
Yeah. Yeah. And therefore, if you just look at it almost like let's say a scientist of time, okay, that's all we're gonna investigate. So in time, if you've noticed, processes happen, yes? So there's processes in time. Some are fast, some are slower, yeah? But it's very important what is the first process and then the processes that come after, yeah? Because the effect or the influence of the process that comes after is much weakens and weakens, yeah? And never overrides the emphasis or the meaning of the first process. Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see when Ramana Maharshi explains it? I'm gonna just riff on it because I think it captures it. He says basically the conception that starts all these other conceptions is this idea that a non-existent thing, there's a presupposing of the non-existent thing being an existing thing. Yeah. So every time you look at the non-existent thing, it's not telling the truth about the non-existent thing. It's being used to lie that it's an existent thing. Yeah. The head is doing it. The body ain't. Yeah. So, all right, there's a presupposing. What would be a supposing? And if you suppose something, it was like historically supposed. Yeah. So you suppose that some store was open when it wasn't, but you presuppose it. So you keep going to that store thinking that it's open and it never is. But you can't break this pattern. Yeah. There's a presupposing that it's open, but you have a feeling it ain't. And yet you keep going, and then you have to get confronted with it. And then you wonder, why is this a special day it's closed? Even though it says it's closed on whatever this time, it just doesn't get it. Yeah. So there's a presupposing would be a mental process. Yes. It's presupposing a non-existent thing. Let's call that the body. Yeah. So the head, which is of the body, is presupposing the body to be an existent thing. Yeah. So the head mixes up the subjective event that happens with the object it seems to happen to or through, or yeah. Yeah. It mixes it up. So it says the object that the subject is coming through is actually the subject. Yeah. So now you get sort of stuck in a way. This is duality. So there's a subject-object dynamic going on throughout the day. Sometimes you're thought about as an object. Sometimes you're thought about as the thinker, which would be the subject. Yes? Yeah. Yeah. So presupposing a non-existent thing, let's call it the body. What's presupposing it is not you. It's not choice. It's not volition. It's not the original sin. It's not whatever. Yeah. It produces a seemingly so. In other words, it appears to be true to us, but it doesn't mean it's true. But it appears to be true. Yeah.
Mhm.
So presupposing a non-existent thing being an existent thing, and then wanting to get salvation for the existent thing. Yeah. So you want to be saved, not from the non-existent thing, but you want to be saved as the existent thing. Yeah. Or through or by the existent thing. But truly, it's a non-existent thing. Yeah. You see? So there's a little bit of there's something that may not look large, but in time it becomes a giant chasm. Yes. Yeah. So it says, if this is the case, that this is happening, and he says basically this is the case because you're not doing it, it's a mechanical action,
Right.
then your spiritual practices, whatever they may be, maybe they're not spiritual practices. That's your newest spiritual practice. No spiritual practice. Yeah. But whatever your spiritual practices are actually reinforcing the non-existent thing as an existent thing. How can they destroy it? Yeah. So you would hope the spiritual experience would take you out of this mistake, but it actually is used to reinforce the mistake. Wow. Did you know that? I didn't until I heard it. And then I knew it. I had all the evidence to know it, but I didn't know it until I heard it through non-duality. Then the evidence was seen and there was knowledge extracted from it, not self-knowledge, not self-knowledge from the head, but knowledge, yeah, was extracted. I didn't have to go through that. It wasn't like the beginning of 8,000 exams and lessons and shit that I had to go through. I had already gotten all the information. It was just it hadn't been seen correctly. And the non-duality understanding allows me to see it correctly, finally. Yes? Wow. So what's one to do if the only way you know about arriving somewhere is getting out of something? Yeah. So most people are trying to get out of self. Yes. They are. They're uncomfortable. They're not feeling this. And because it's them that's uncomfortable, it's supremely important that they get comfortable or distract or do whatever. And so there's so much demand to get relief from this condition. It usually becomes obsessive. And that's where the addictions appear. The addictions that we notice rooted in a solution to the addiction of the mind, yeah, which is the addiction to this non-existent thing as an existent thing, yeah, yeah. And not only, it's not the body, it's the sense of being the doer that the body represents, and the feeler, and the thinker, and the liver, and the haver, yes? This emphasis causes it like an ideation that, in my experience, because I felt I went pretty damn far in drug addiction, and I never arrived at the starting point of the addiction of the head. Yeah. I never thought I was cocaine when I was doing it, ever. Even if I did it for 7 straight days, or sometimes 7 to 10 straight days, that all that time doing cocaine did not convince me I was coke. It seemed like such a foreign fucking idea that it never came across my head. Yet, if you look at the head, this idea of being the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the taster, and the toucher, and seen as a long-lasting, independent, separate entity is super stubborn. And to me, that's the drug of the head. The drug of the head is we give it a title called self, but that's the drug the head is shooting up. Yeah. And we're down that hole so far, we don't even see that we're living as the drug that the head is addicted to. Yeah. We're living the fantasizing of the drug self. We're living it out. Yeah. Being the most important thing, having private thoughts. No one feels like I do. No one's done the shit I did. I am so unique, da 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 da. And we're just run of the mill, ones out of millions of these little expressions. Yeah. It's insane. And then uh, so let's say you're shooting up, the head is shooting up self. And then you show up a second later because you're not there. And then you say, I don't want to shoot up self. You're completely powerless. The shot was given already. You're wanting to get out of self is after you shot up self. You can't get out of it. As it, yeah. And I humbly believe if you look at time, you would have to say most spiritual practices are of process. Yeah. There's processes. Some people have the process of putting the right setting, getting candles, getting right music, some Shakti music or whatever. There's always usually, or you're wearing whites or something, you bless, whatever. There's tons of processes, but do you believe they come close to beating the initial process of taking the head, taking yourself to be self? Yeah. I don't think they're not even close. It's like, it's like something's doing 100-yard dash while you think it's a mile. You're doing a mile run and something is winning the race with 100-yard dash, like in a half a second, less probably. Yeah. There's conscious contact, and then there's you in conscious contact very fast. Now, I believe that no process can beat that process. I don't see it. Yet, there's something that can beat that process, but it's not a process. Just like Einstein said, what's causing the problem, you won't be able to find the solution in what's causing the problem. Yeah. So if this is a mental process called selfing, other processes aren't going to be the solution to that. It has to come from something that's not a process or something that's not of time. Voila, us. Yeah. Us, awareness. We're not of time. We may be aware through time, or if you want to call it in time, but we're not of time. This is the beauty. So if you see the selfing as a gunslinger, it'll take everything that gets presented after it. But if it faces us, it loses because the gun is already drawn where we are. Yeah. There's no time to draw the gun out. The gun's already out. We can't lose. Yeah. This is the beauty of it. So finally, I felt the process that I felt was before all processes. Yeah. I mean, I can recognize my car. I misplaced the car, right? the first reaction usually I'll have is someone stole it. Yeah. Someone stole it. No mindfulness gets me before that. None. No practice is going to get me before it. If I'm walking around and I thought I parked the car here and I don't see it there, my head goes immediately, someone stole it. Yeah. I've had it with friends at talks. And then all of us are looking at each other, go, who'd want to take his fucking truck? But the feeling that someone stole it comes up so quickly. Yes. So, I mean, I don't see how you're going to beat it. So why not surrender? Yeah. Let's say surrender is allow something to come ahead of that which is placed before. So let the awareness be our vanguard or tip of the spear, not the feathers on the back of the arrow. Yes. Let awareness be the guide, because it can see. It doesn't live an interpretation based on past. Yeah, it doesn't. As the Course in Miracles says, hey, basically, you see only the past. Yeah. When you're looking through these eyes that are not yours, you see only the past. That's what happens. Yeah. So how is the past going to get into the present? But you can see the past appearing in the present from the present. You can. The past is never going to see the present, but you can see the past appearing in the present now. You can, yeah? You can see the head dragging up what's not happening into the realm of happening. But it's such a minor event in what's happening. It's just a stream of thought. But if you're seemingly asleep or awake or not present, it can completely fill up the room of presence where you're driven by what's not happening. Yeah. I've seen it in AA meetings. I sat there and most people I looked around, they weren't looking like they were next to having a panic attack and shit like that. They weren't looking out the window. They were pretty relaxing a little. And then one lady was super flipped out. And then she says, there's something I've got to do August 15th. And it was July 28th. And she was totally, she wasn't, that's the good news, but her head was completely occupied with August 15th, but it was actually July 28th. Yeah. Now there's a conundrum there, because if you start talking to her about August 15th, it's almost enabling the reality of August 15th to be real, which I don't particularly enjoy playing that role. So sometimes you just got to let them cook, yeah? Because it's not happening. Literally, it's not happening. So this is why I humbly believe he basically presents that statement of a non-existent thing taken to be an existent thing to point out that that is the established process, and then you enter into doing processes to affect that. Yeah. And you find out sooner or later, hopefully sooner, that the process that come after do not infect or affect the process that was before. The process that you're a self travels into all the other processes. Yes or no? Yes. Even though you may say the spiritual realm has an exemption, it doesn't. There'll be a claiming of being the doer of the spiritual practices, and you'll be bound to that idea. Yeah. And if you're like me, I thought spiritual practices were way more important than a lot of other stuff, like doing dishes, doing that, blah, 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 blah. I put it on another level, but unfortunately, this parasitical movement doesn't. It doesn't see any forbidden zone. Yeah. Whatever's happening, and it's brought into contact with that happening, it's going to claim it. To do what? To further the story that you're the long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah. Even the process of you're not a long-lasting, independent, separate entity will be used to reinforce that you are a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yes, yes. Yeah. You'll be thinking the bomb is going to take the rash away, but it actually reinforces the rash. So what are you going to do? Send in what happens. This is when he goes into the policeman thief thing. He goes, okay, now you get a description of this self, and you may see that it's the problem, and it's the thing that's blocking me off from the sunlight or the spirit or whatever. But what's going to happen is another aspect of the self, the policeman is going to go there to capture the thief. Yeah. The thief that's been ruining your life. What's going to be sent over to take care of that thief is an aspect of it called the policeman. And some people get stuck in the policeman. And now, if they don't do the spiritual path practice perfectly, or they've got to be the one that stays the longest in the Zendo, or does the most pranams, or fasts longer than everyone else, or holds their breath, or stays in the dark longer, or whatever it is. Yes? It's what the hell's going on? It's a feast for that which you'd like to be free from. This is the shoes of the spiritual store called non-duality. If you've put them on and they fit, wear it. Yeah. So much will be explained through your fucking foot. Slowly, quickly, it'll get to the heart and maybe to the head if it's needed. Yeah. But you'll get something through freaking osmosis. You have everything that's at hand. You just need the right glasses to see it. Yes. And I hope this helps, this message. Not that I don't really hope it helps. I hope it disappoints and frustrates, because that's how it helps. Yeah. Because I'll tell you, if the idea of you gets one drop of this meal, it thinks it's going to attend the whole banquet. Yeah. You want to starve the fucking idea. You want to see you're frustrated. Great. That's great news. I'm coming to a conclusion. I'm never going to get it. Fantastic. That's incredible. Yeah. On and on. And so finally, that weird cryptic statement of the Course in Miracles makes sense. Your greatest successes were your greatest failures. And your greatest failures are your greatest successes. Yeah? Yeah. To me, spirituality, as we know it here, is meant to fail. It's meant to fail. That's its value. So if you get frustrated in becoming something or transcending or going somewhere, maybe you'll realize you are where you want to be. You are that which is, you are what's looking right now. Yeah. Wow. So every arrival is met with on having never left. What is the knowledge going to affect? Your fucking plans for arrival. It's not going to affect on having never left. On having never left, there's no wiggle room in there. None. On arrival is, oh, you can arrive late. You can arrive, oh, you forgot something. Oh, you're not in the right, I don't have any sunscreen or whatever. A lot of shit can happen. A lot of times when you arrive, you always remember you forgot something. Your phone cord or shit like that. But the other message on having never left, it's that everything is completely like that. On having never left. I arrived, isn't it? Like I arrived, but, isn't it? I arrived, but, yeah. On having never left, there's no but. None. Zippo. On having never left, there's no possibility of an exemption or a disqualification coming up in your head. Yeah. There's none. It's neuters the whole activity. On having never left. Yeah, exactly. Remember that thing I shared about in that Australian thing I did, the miracle, the path of love. And then I had this cathartic event upon a lot of cathartic events, and I was crying and moaning and chanting, I can never get back, I can never get back. And for us, for a group of spiritual seekers, it was a very high level fucking recognition. I can never get back, you know, like I was seeing through the veil of the mortal sin or whatever. I disconnect myself from the Godhead. I can't believe it. Yeah. And it was unbelievable. And then a couple of days later, a new pair of glasses showed me all that activity as, know why? It was based on I had never left. That's why I can't get back. Oh. In that group mentality, having I can never get back was high level of understanding. When I shared with them a few days later, based on I had never left, no one was interested in that. Not one of them. Not one of them was interested in that at all. Not one. It was amazing. All these girls are starting to look at me at the after retreat party. And then they heard me share a day later. It was like zip. On having never left. What the fuck? Where's there room for me in there? It looks so boring from the head. Yeah. It's like an early person I met he used to say, this message is sort of like the excitement that looks boring instead of the boring that looks exciting, whatever it is. Yeah. So this is an excitement that may look boring from the outside, but all the other shit is boring, even though it looks exciting. You know how many people have said to me, calling me up about the next amazing thing? They've gone through like 100 fucking amazing things. The most amazing thing is the amazing no thing. That's the greatest. Amazing no thing. Yeah. Yeah. That one amazing just echoes. It doesn't demand extra amazings or radical amazings or extended amazings. It's so amazing, it doesn't even have to shout it out anymore. Yeah. It just reverberates every moment, at any time. It's just reverberating its amazingness. Yeah. Most people, if they were on a path, they would step over it. They would step over it to the next big thing. They would. They're looking for the stairway to heaven, man. This is the basement of heaven. If you were seeing on having never left, would you have interest in the stairway for heaven? Not as a mode of transportation, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You may like the engineering and all that stuff and all the soundtrack that goes with it, but there would be no deep interest in it. There wouldn't, because you would see there is no stairway to where I am. Yeah. Wherever I am is there. Yeah. This is that here and now, right now. Yeah. It's so nice. It puts an end to a lot of shit, really. Yeah. Could you imagine if you ran into our last answer? A topic that you've been so interested in just kept leading you to new answers. Could you imagine that you would be suddenly stopped? Not struggling with it, but disarmed by it. Having the reality revealed is quite a disarming recognition. Yeah. And in observing whatever's happening here for years, I say that it is the last answer, and it's taken away the need for any other answer. Yeah. I had never met an answer like that ever. Yeah. Yeah. This is not of this place, non-duality. It's not an experience. It's not a path. It's a reality. It's the reality. Being ourselves, reality. Yeah. So everything that makes sense, if you were somewhere and had to get somewhere else, doesn't make sense in this. Because the proposition is you are that which you're looking for. The seeker is the sought. It can't, the same logic and the same roadmaps and the same GPSs doesn't work in this because it's based on having never left. What trip on your car GPS has ever said on having never left? It usually says 23 miles to fucking Vallejo or something. Yes? Or you're getting closer, but it's I would have loved on having never left. It's just all the car doors open and you just it won't start, and then you try to go again, and then you punch in, I'm going to the retreat in Missouri or something. It would stop on having never left, door swings open. When would we get it? When would we get it? If you're so busy looking for it, how are you going to see it right now? How are you going to see it right now? Yeah. If something doesn't move, how can you see it while you're moving? Yeah. It's like the idea of consciousness. I feel I'm just sharing what I saw. Consciousness, that which is in contact here through the gates of seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, has never sweated. I've never broke out in a conscious sweat. Yeah. I don't feel like I was, and I don't have to think to be conscious, do I? I'm conscious of thoughts. I don't have to think to be conscious. I don't have to do to be conscious. I have to do to be a runner. I have to do running. To be a surfer, I have to surf. But in this case, I can't do consciousness because I'm being conscious with everything else. I'm not always running. So when I run, it looks like I'm running, yes? I'm not always running, but we're always conscious. It's a different ball game. So we're being conscious. And I don't believe consciousness demonstrates any thought or effort. Why would you believe you could arrive at consciousness through thought and effort? I just don't see the logic working. Yeah. It would be logical if you have the ability not to be conscious, which to me, I do not believe that. I believe you can believe you're not conscious, but what's allowing that belief to be noticed is consciousness. Yeah. Yes. And when you're unconscious, you're still conscious. They bring you back. They put you under, but you're not unconscious. It's not on the level. Yeah. It's sort of like if someone dunked your head in the water while you were playing around. Yeah. And then you bring up and you go, oh, I'm conscious, but you were conscious under the water. You couldn't take any air and shit in, and it was a little strange, but you were conscious. Yeah. So I feel what we are here as an activity is the seeing of what we're not. Yeah. And to have an understanding, the seeing is what we are. And then that will get reinforced by the seeing of what you're not. Yeah. So you'll use what you are to reinforce what you are instead of having what we are being used to reinforce what we're not. That's all. Yeah. So when something appears and says it knows you as an object and it's the very clear subject, you see both of them as not you. Yeah. So the awareness is just doing what it doesn't do anything. It's just there. And it's there meaning everywhere. so that's your new basis, and you start living from there. And I find that it provokes a traveling lighter. Yeah. Not based on the specific conditions or circumstances or age or this and that. It doesn't mean everything's going to get light, but you're going to travel lighter through whatever life has in store for you. That's all. That's what I found. Yeah. And it seems to be super freaking reliable because it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. So here we are. That's why I don't care what Wednesday it is, or really what condition I feel like I'm in. I still show up because my being here isn't based on my circumstances or conditions. It's based on something that's not affected by the circumstances and conditions. I was really surprised when I was speaking in recovery to a large group, and something satsang, the grace of satsang took over these meetings, and there was some heavy duty mojo. And the nights I'd go there a lot for years, every Monday night. And I went through a lot of Monday nights, and I went through a lot of different conditions and circumstances a Monday night could bring. One time I was waiting to hear if I had AIDS because it took 3 weeks to get that message through back then when you got tested. Other times, my girlfriend, my fairy princess, just broke up with me before the meeting. I had sinus infections, no money, worries about this, da, 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 da. And I will tell you, just from this dog shit basic awareness, watching it, that whatever was moving through me was not based on my conditions. Had nothing, I did not have to be light. I could have done something stupid an hour before. It didn't matter. If I showed up, something used me. And I realized super clearly that my conditions do not condition that condition. Yes. Fantastic. Because usually in the self-centered view, I believe I have to be in the correct condition to meet the always everywhere condition. I do not believe that. Yeah. Not even for a nanosecond. I've been thoroughly convinced. Yeah. So I hope it's contagious, and you can just stop trying to be you as that secondary non-you. It doesn't work. The policeman is just as bad as the thief in some ways. Yeah. Worse in some ways. Yeah. Could you imagine if there was a silent station that you could be directed by instead of the thief policeman stations? Yeah. There is. But it's an echo from the before. It's not a manufactured station in the after. Yeah. You're not going to get some guy named, Sri Robert something and his tapes 24/7. Now listen to me. Before you buy that car, I want you to go to my uncle. He has a car shop, whatever. All shit will come into it. No, you're moved by something that hasn't been thought about. Yeah. Yeah. So makes your day better. Yeah. All the parameters or the thick line compartmentalization, it all bleeds into one fucking like ink blotter. Yeah. Really. All right.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
You can hear that a lot of ways. All right. Yeah. All right.
Dana put her hand up.
Dana, I thought you were honesty. You're back to Dana now.
No, I know she's Dana, so I called her Dana.
Oh, all right.
I'm Dana Honesty.
All right.
My new name. I have like really good news in my mind. I I had a psychotic episode several months ago, and it lasted for 6 days. And after that happened, my niece and her husband had to come and take care of me and get me into the hospital. And I surrendered in a way I've never surrendered before. Everything was happening like it should. I didn't worry about anything or try to think about, oh, it has to be like this and I have to go there and do this, and it's never I feel that way today. It's just my whole life is none of my business, kind of. It's amazing. And it's the most, I've never felt this way before. I had no idea that I didn't need to worry about anything. I just had to wake up and do what's in front of me and put one step in front of the other and go about my business.
Mm.
And I feel like when I got to you, I feel like you kind of reinforced that kind of thing. And I felt like, and it was a miracle to me. It still is. I don't worry about anything. I don't get in yesterday. I don't run into tomorrow. I'm just here. And I don't know if that's part of non-duality or
Yes. Every part of non-duality is all of non-duality. Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Great, honey. Great. Oh, I hope for our sake you keep coming back.
I will for
Oh,
sure.
fantastic. And I'm more interested in what your last name's going to be. Now,
Yeah,
honesty, I like to see what's going to follow up.
I'll try to keep it interesting.
Please, please. I'm waiting with bated breath for
Yeah,
that name. Honesty. Yes, great. It's not hard, is it, honey? Really?
no,
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
You know, how many things have you put down? But when you put down the idea that there's someone holding on, it goes a lot faster, right? Yeah.
When you mean
Idea
somebody's
of
holding,
letting go is based on someone holding on.
oh yeah,
When
yeah,
you let go of that idea that there's someone holding on,
right,
it's a much more radical effect. Yes.
yeah,
So something that could have a huge wallop and then reverberate isn't made into a really strange thing for 5 seconds until the next thing you recognize you're holding on to that you have to let go. Yes? The finality of not being the one who's holding on is beautiful. It's
yeah,
then the continuation of letting go. Yes, there's so much fucking letting go that can come from the idea that you're holding on.
yeah. I feel really freer than I've ever felt. I mean,
Yeah, great. Yes, great. Great. Voila. What more do you want, honey? Great. Fantastic. Yeah. Now you're infected and you're going to infect others around you. Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. A lot of times when you're walking around with people, in a way, they're just seeking permission. Yeah. And if you're just holding the space, there's permission in that held space. They're just given permission. Let's say maybe the permission to be okay, or
right,
so right that I didn't do that I thought I should have done. Yes. You know, there's a lot of withholding and then seeking permission. And I feel this message gives a lot of permission. It really does. It gives a lot of permission. Gives permission, you know, just a lot, I feel. So how do you know you're being withheld? Yeah, you know it when there's permission. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like the idea of we talk about, gravity is an effect that everybody's under all the time. Gravity. And yet, if you spoke to people about the effects of gravity, they would say the effects of gravity were produced by that hill or those stairs. Yes.
Yeah.
And everyone would start talking about the hill or the stairs, missing the real import, which is this force of gravity. So if you move against that force by trying to go up, there's resistance and it tires you out. It really wasn't the hill doing it. It really wasn't the stairs doing it. So, all right, you want to become a master of gravity, so you study books and shit like that. Why not just go into an anti-gravity chamber? And by
Right.
its absence, you'll know its its presence. And it's a past presence that you know. You'll know its past presence by its absence. And this is the message. This is not giving more shit into you. It's starving you. And then you recognize, if something's meant to get and understand and know, and it gets thwarted, usually the feeling of being frustrated occurs and you get really more frustrated. But there's a point that goes beyond the frustration. If you have an understanding, let's say, of non-duality, you see the nakedness of the grabbing for knowledge and you recognize that apparatus isn't you. Yeah. And now you have knowledge of the apparatus, not knowledge through the apparatus, not knowledge through thinking and understanding and grabbing and shit like that. But you see it. If something that's clenching and grabbing is always given something, that pattern habit is going to continue. But if
Yeah.
it tries to clench or grab and there's nothing it can get, it leads somewhere else. Yeah. So when someone comes here and says, I'm really fucking frustrated, it's great news. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really pissed off. I'm not going to get it. Fantastic. Because you're not that which is getting pissed off. Yeah. How are you going to see this shit if it's whispering from the weeds all day? We need this understanding to bring it out of the weeds so you can see it. And then meet it with, I'm not that, finally. Meet it. It's like my friend, John D. He has some beautiful statements in recovery. And he said, I was misintroduced to God. And then in recovery, I got reintroduced to God. It was beautiful in a lot of ways. Yeah. So this, it's, finite things are going to end. Your frustration is going to end. Yeah. These things are going to end. And then there's something that never began or end there. But if you keep feeding something, it's going to keep demanding more food. Yeah. This is where, like, you ever hear the story of Ramana said? I think I used it just last week, but I'll say it again. Supposedly, Ramana Maharshi, which, he's like the godfather of the message of non-duality now. He had a lot of people who had been following him and following his instructions for a while, and they were talking with each other about if they could start sharing it, teaching. And then he walked in the room, and so they asked him, do you think we can teach? And he says, oh yeah, all of you can teach, but I don't recommend it. And then they were a little confused, and they go, why? And he just said the word compassion. And they were more confused, and he said, listen, you're going to be sitting in front of a group, and you're going to feel compassion for those people, and you're going to dilute the message. Yeah. So you'll give something to them. All right, here, we're going to have a blue belt and a black belt and a double black belt, and you'll have degrees and hierarchies. No, you starve all that. You starve all that. Yes. That's compassion.
Yeah.
Sometimes compassion in recovery is letting someone have their bottom. That's the compassion. Because if you keep trying to save them, it's preventing a part of something to occur, which is arriving at a bottom. And I'll tell you, the fear of the bottom is I'm never going to leave. It's not, you're not greeted with on having never left. It's like, I'm never going to leave. That's the fucking bottom in addiction. I swear I was there. The message you get on the bottom is, I'm never fucking gonna leave. It's unbelievable. And then that would be, you know, is that helping someone, keeping them from that? If the pancake has to flip over to get cooked. Yeah. Yeah. So all right. Anyway, I don't know where we are. Oh, we're with Adi now. AADI.
There's still a sense of self and
Uh,
independent doership in the day.
Of course there is. Yeah.
Is the presupposition done by the head?
Yes. Yes. Good news, you're not the head. All right, that seemed to work. Let's move on to the next.
And I don't think that it's lack of compassion that I want to say that it's compassion to share this message, because in the personhood is where all the problems lie. So helping somebody get rid of that is compassion.
Well, yes, of course. Yeah. Yes, of course. Compassion is of the moment. Yeah. Sometimes putting your hand out to help is the compassion of that moment. Other times, the compassion is to withdraw the hand. So the person knows, they realize they can walk on their own. Yeah, this is just how it goes. I remember I was speaking in London once, and there was like people seemed to have been sent to argue with me. It was a trip. And so they were talking about this idea of hope. And of course, hope is no good. It causes, and I said, listen, it's all based on the moment. Yeah, because for the alcoholic that believes they're in a hopeless condition of mind and body, to hear the hope that there may be a solution, that hope has incredible value at that moment. So the meaning isn't from hope, it's what's before the hope. Yeah. So one mind's condition can give a great value to hope. Another mind's condition, it could be a disservice to hope. Yes. So it ain't hope. It's us dreaming. We are giving everything all the meaning it has. And it changes. Yes. Compassion can be look one way or another way and be compassion both times. Yeah. Yes. So I don't believe if there is some rote stuff in this world, it isn't that many. Yeah. So like I remember the people they followed this saint, and the saint was pretty eccentric, and you would call it what was that thing? Crazy wisdom and shit. And people would try to do what that person did, thinking what they did was what brought the person to where they are, but they were just expressing from where they are in what they did. Yeah. It wasn't a path to get to where they were. They were there and they were expressing from that. Yeah. So this is the thing. One moment hope is a poison, and the next moment hope is a great medicine. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Anyone else?
No other hands showing.
All right, well, let me say hello, goodbye.
Hey,
Adi.
I have another question, please.
But I think you're gonna bring it back next week, Adi, eh? How's that?
Okay.
All right, great, great. So we got the cat, send bitch slap. Yes. Oh, she just, wow. Involuntarily, she waved her tail. And thank God she doesn't believe she wagged her tail anyway. Yeah.
I wag it for her.
Looks like she's completely detached from the wagging of her own tail. Pretty good. Let's all bow down. To Cat Amelia of Zen Bitch Lab. Yes. Demonstrating.
She likes it.
Yes. She has no idea what's going on in the back. It's none of her business, like Dana said. It's none of your business.
She says hi to Sri Lola.
Sri Lola, yeah, Sri Lola. There's the great Amelia. Sri Amelia, yeah. All right, we got Craig May. Craig May went into the closet, brought out a nice outfit. Yes, there he is. Bill Churchman at the helm of the SS Enterprise, the largest lazy boy in North America. Yeah. Got Sherry. Nice to see you, Sherry. Ellen Bennett. Yes. Sherry, yes. I bet you Ellen Bennett has a good credit score. It just sounds like that. I expect an Ellen Bennett to have some nice office suits, whatever, you know. Kerry, nice to see you, brother. All's well there in Hawaii? Yeah. Miak, the wanderer. She's in some giant couch down in the South Bay. There she is. Kathleen, Kathleen is the soil and the root of the tree that's coming out of her fucking lotus chakra. Pretty nice. That's going to bear a lot of fruit in its emptiness, honey. Wow. Bring some of that with you. You're coming over tomorrow, Friday. Bring some of the empty fruit from the great tree. Yeah, fantastic. Honesty. Honesty. You smacked all of us tonight, Honesty. Yeah. Your own life is none of your own business. Pretty good. All right, David Bitterman. There you go. Yeah. Gary Clark, place of Placerville. Always a pleasure to see Gary. Gary's been here since the beginning of the Zooms. Yes. One of the foundations. James Olson, along with Alan Olson. I haven't met James, but I met Alan. Yes. Yeah. Shannon Corkery, how are you? Yeah, good? So? All right.
Okay.
Lisa M. from Alabama. She was just in Australia. Miss Amelia, she's in very close physical proximity. Eric Platt, yes. Volunteer fireman. Heather, the most beautiful magician I've ever met. Very nice. Chris D. There you are, Chris. Yeah. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Phone number, I don't know who that is, but let's see. We've got Dennis W. Floyd De Silva. Nice to see you, Floyd. Tej. Yeah. Another phone number. Lynn D. The clouds are gone. Only it's what? Clear skies. What's the song? Whatever.
Fluffy cloud?
No. It's a famous song. Rob M. Massachusetts, I gather. Yeah. Susanna W. Fletch. Hey, Susanna, we're having a group on Saturday. If you can come, we're going to have food and everything and the talk at 1. So, all right. All right. Thanks, everyone. Such a pleasure. See some of you tomorrow. I hope.
Thank you,
and,
Paul.
Yeah. See you
Thanks,
guys.
Paul.
You're gonna